Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another show of The Cool Down. I was pretty sad to not be on the show last week, guys. I'm pretty happy to be here today.
We missed you. I got a lot of grief. I got a lot of grief from Scott in particular, but I took the reins. I enjoyed it. But you were missed. We were all against your team, eh, Claudio? We didn't think you would pull through. We thought City were going to get the victory, but I think it was a hard-fought draw there in the end.
Yeah, I think you guys just took advantage of the fact that I wasn't there, so you just wanted to bash my team because we know how good they are. But yeah, just so everyone's watching, we are a few men shorter. We're a bit lightweight today. We're kind of looking a bit like Liverpool's defense. Our squad isn't fully match fit, and they have other commitments, unfortunately. Until Wonga's going to cough up the dough to pay them all, they might stick around every show. But yeah, until that moment, we're going to have to wait. Wonga, how's the weekend for you, my man, apart from your game?
That was it. The weekend was my game. That was my weekend. Jeez, I was hoping that, yes, Arsenal could do something. But in fact, I wasn't even hoping. I was actually confident that something was going to happen. Get our 3 goals. But yes, I think the wrong people are listening when I talked about 3-0.
Or maybe the right people are listening. But on that note, we might as well kick off the first game, and we're going to start in a place where we can say there's a heavy heart, largely because the result was somewhat expected. However, it's not a heavy heart for Southampton. Nick,
hey,
what are the overall feelings?
I don't know how expected it was. To be fair, I think coming off a good victory against Everton for ourselves, we are a lucky packet. We are a mixed bag. We either rock up or we don't rock up, and unfortunately we didn't rock up. I think Fabian Schär said it absolutely perfectly on Newcastle TV. The journalist actually asked him. He said, well, "Can you debrief? How did the game go?" And he just said, "We were all shit." And he said that uncensored, and they did bleep him out, but it was literally that. No one showed up. They were first to every ball, every 50-50. They got out of our press every time. They pressed us. They left 2v2 at the back because they were so confident in how they pressed. And unfortunately, we just succumbed to a very good team, I would say. However, we just never showed up. So any team playing us that evening, we're more than likely going to get the victory. Classic Steve Bruce, no real plan B. Let's throw in Andy Carroll with 10 minutes to go. Sorry, actually 8 minutes to go. When no one was really doing anything. And unfortunately, when things are going wrong, I like managers who are decisive and make changes. 55 minutes, 60 minutes, 65 minutes is the area you need to start making changes, especially if nothing's going your way. And as usual, nothing surprising, to be fair. I just thought Southampton were there for the taking, specifically because they are defensively vulnerable, and they've proved that with a couple of their performances. However, they're very dangerous when they attack. They press you high up the pitch with their fullbacks as well as their attacking players, and we duly got punished. We couldn't keep the ball. They look like a bunch of under sixes at times. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember playing Hollandia back in the day. Those
good old Hollandia
guys. They would just get the ball and they would just pass it like straight back to us, and that's exactly how it was. They look like a bunch of donkeys at times, but at the end of the day, it is to be expected. And unfortunately, I said it. We'll beat Everton. We'll more than likely lose or draw the next game. So we've got 2 good results against Wolves and Everton, who probably teams thought we wouldn't get a result against. I'm hopeful, naturally, coming off that. But unfortunately, we didn't get the victory, and we're going to an international break with Steve Bruce licking his wounds, as he should be. And he should be thinking about how he's going to fix it. Although I think he's eating the bacon sandwiches that the tea lady's making for him.
Yeah, he hasn't updated his diet at all, man. He's still having the pies and the beers at halftime, I'm sure. And he's probably wanting to give the players that, and they're probably saying, "Coach, no, not for me, thanks."
Yeah,
I think that's kind of
Yeah. Looking at
but
I agree with like Nick was saying. I mean, even the goals they conceded, like the first one, it's very amateur. I mean, surely you should be passing the ball out in that position, but get tackled, walk out onto it.
Wonga, I mean, I'll tell you that right now. The way I was taught and the way I teach my players, and I'm sure you both were defenders. If you're under pressure against a team that's pressing you high, kick the fucking ball anywhere. Kick it anywhere.
Yes.
We don't care, you know. But Almiron tries to play out of the back with his back facing, with himself facing his own goal.
Yes.
The ball gets nicked by Walker Peters, and now we're in trouble. Same thing happens in the second half. So yes, we were completely outplayed. However, both goals were completely avoidable. And
100%.
I mean, Longstaff was on the edge of his box trying to pull the ball back, roll the ball back to go where? To go towards his own box. He misses the ball completely. It gets nicked, and then they end up scoring. So, and you're right. The goals were mediocre. We looked like a League One, League Two team at times in that game, and unfortunately, you know, our big players. I'm worried about Saint Maximum. He's kind of changed the system. Saint Maximum's playing very centrally. We're kind of playing with a diamond in the midfield with the five at the back. More of a box than a diamond because it's 2 and 2. And Almiron and Saint Maximum look a little bit lost. And we're trying to get our width from our fullbacks, but our fullbacks couldn't even get past the halfway line because they were sort of pressing us so high up the pitch. So it's a little bit worrying that we don't have a plan B. He fixed the system for us to look a little bit more solid, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like when a team works us out, we might be pretty snookered, and that is a bit of a worry for me.
Yeah, and you know, Porikal over here says, you know, Southampton are having a very good season. So before we do get carried away in terms of, you know, bashing Newcastle, I think a couple of things need to be considered here. We have a team coming in who's high on confidence, good form. We know Newcastle are having a bit of a patchy start, but getting results nonetheless. When we're looking at Southampton, they've got a good spine. And they've got a great manager in Ralph, how do you pronounce his name? Hassan Holt. I don't even know how to pronounce it. But
Scott's going to give you grief if you don't get it right, eh? Scott's going to give you grief if you don't get it right.
Hassan Holt.
He really gave me shit earlier.
But Rolf, let me tell you the thing about Rolf. What I liked about him when he came to Southampton is he reminded me of a knockoff version of Jurgen Klopp. That's what he came in. He brought up the team morale. He was doing his thing. And now he's got the players he's got a good bunch of, I wouldn't say average. He's just got good quality players, right? They're not your top quality, but they're all working for each other and they're very well organized. And that's always going to be a tough team to break down, which is, you know, one thing you've got to credit them. I mean, between, what's his name, Vestergaard, and then you've got Ward-Prowse. And then you also, all of a sudden, you've got Adams, who you're thinking they've lost Ings. That's X amount of goals. Adams comes in and he scored 3 goals in 4 games. So they're riding high. Yeah, they're definitely riding high. But if we're looking at Newcastle in a sense, I know we can start off with the first goal. Newcastle kind of felt like it was a Friday night. They all wanted to be out at the pub instead of there playing a game. There weren't really fans motivating them. So they were slow, they were lethargic. And to be fair, both teams kind of felt that way. But Almiron, his decision to play out from the back and actually get a touch on the ball, that is a player who you can see is an attack-minding player. He doesn't like, well, I wouldn't say doesn't like, but, you know, defending isn't in his game. So he wants to get some touches on the ball right in the beginning of the game, and that's all it is. Yeah. And when he loses that ball, if you actually look and you focus on it, he's got no players around him. All the 3 players, he's got 3 players all behind him. So if he's going forward, now all of a sudden he's gone forward, he's had nothing. The players closest to him up front is a player on the halfway line. So his next pass is to go long. He's obviously gotten cornered there in a player in Kyle Walker's, and that's also the beauty about having a wing fullback, is that a player like that can press a high and can win the ball high. So he's been put under pressure, and then he's gone back to look for support, and all 3 players are behind him, and then he gets nicked. So that's kind of the consequence of getting used to playing in a defensive mode, Nick.
Yeah, I think for me, I watched a bit of an analysis of Southampton this season with Hasenhoffel.
Hasenhoffel. Yeah, Scott, you're going to have to teach us how to pronounce that.
I watched a little bit of an analysis of how high Southampton actually play, how high their line is with when they are pressing in the other half. And unfortunately, in that situation, Claudio, I agree with you that he wants to get onto the ball and he wants to maybe look for players around him to try and get the ball up the pitch, but he shouldn't be receiving the ball. That he should be higher up the pitch, closer to a Callum Wilson, together with, say, Maximum. So the fact that he's having to drop in that deep is maybe a bit of a problem. Maybe we need to make sure that our midfielders are getting across together with the wing back, trying to receive the ball in there so we have players further up the pitch, because 9 times out of 10, when we played against Wolves like that, I think we would not more than likely in our own half have 7 to 8 players, and then we kind of kick the ball forward and we hope that Callum Wilson can hold it up and bring players into play. So essentially, I think the biggest problem is we don't have the right players in the right areas of the pitch. So we need our attacking players in high areas of the pitch. So when we get the ball, we've got numbers going forward. When Liverpool break, they've got numbers going forward. When City break, they've got numbers going forward, because the players are there and they rely on the players in deeper areas to go and get that ball and sort of play from there. Unfortunately, we don't have those ball players. We've got 1 or 2. We've got a Fernandez who's good on got good feet, Fabian Schär, but they just looked like they were men possessed. They looked like they had a couple of beers the night before on the way down on the bus to Southampton. So unfortunately, I do agree with you. And Almiron, yes, he will get grief for that because it is a bit suicidal. But I think just sort of coaching those players in those areas to try and get onto the ball and try and deal with situations, so our attacking players don't have to defend. Our attacking players shouldn't be coming back there to go and receive second balls, because we rely on them to do more up the pitch.
Yeah. But we can say that there were two. If you had to really dig deep and find a positive, for me, the 2 positives were: 1, Darlow pulling off saves again. I mean, where would you guys do without him? And then the second one would be Jamal Lewis. Jamal Lewis kind of showed glimpses of what he can do for a side like Newcastle if he's playing. His delivery is phenomenal.
His delivery was very good.
On goal were from his crosses.
100%. I've had a few eyebrows raised because my opinion as a wide fullback or a wide winger, if you want to call it that, is 9 times out of 10, or at least 7 times out of 10, your delivery has to be good if that's your specialty. And Jamal Lewis' specialty is that. And unfortunately, in the beginning of the season, I think it was a bit shaky. Maybe he was settling in, but that was a good sign. And I think that, together with a striker in Fraser, in Callum Wilson, together with a Fraser who can deliver the ball, I think that might benefit us going forward. But Darlow, for me, I think I spoke about this before. Him and Callum Wilson should be in the England squad right now, in my opinion. Darlow's the best performing goalkeeper of the season, stats wise. If you actually look at it, Pickford didn't even play. I don't know if he played last week, but he didn't play against us. Henderson's making the squad. He hasn't played for Man United, so I don't know. I think Southgate needs.
Southgate is an oddball though, because he came up making a statement saying no after the whole clash between Pickford and Van Dijk. He made a phone call to say there's no one realistically knocking him off the pecking order. I'm like, dude, what games are you watching? What
sort of comment? But what sort of comment is that as well to go and tell the media that? What sort of hope do the other English goalkeepers in the English game have?
And the ones that are playing well.
Say that. And then if they eventually make the squad, they're supposed to play for Gareth Southgate. He can go he can actually go get fucked if that was what he said. And he did say it. So yeah, I agree with you. Nonsense.
Yeah, man. But on that note, we were talking about fullbacks and delivery. If we've got to take, and this is a great segue to move to the next game, the United Everton game. If we're comparing what Jamal Lewis has done in that game alone, and it's compared it to Wan-Bissaka's whole Man United career, I don't think Wan-Bissaka's ever put in a ball close as good as both those balls in one game.
Yeah. Wan-Bissaka doesn't know anything about finesse. The guy is just brute. He's just brute force. That's all he is. I think even the teammates. There's a joke about him as well. It's like he can't even shoot. That's what they say. Like I think one of these, I can't remember where it was, but I just saw a joke like that. But Wan-Bissaka, there's no finesse in him. You're not gonna get good delivery. You'll get a delivery, but you don't know if it's gonna be good or not. Not like your Jamal Lewis or Trent. No ways. Not from that guy. Nope.
No, he is, but he's a solid defender though. He is a solid defender.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Defends well. I can't lie about that. Yeah, but the delivery-wise, no.
Yeah, I think you sort of Man United need to decide what sort of fullback is he? Is he a fullback first, or is he an attacking fullback first? Yes, defensively, I do think he's strong. He's got all the characteristics of being a good athletic right back who could potentially even see a comment there, potentially slot into a centre back if need be. But I think he's got the frame for that. He's young, he's hungry, but I do agree if they're looking for that in a right fullback sort of wing back position, I'm not convinced that his delivery is good enough. However, his only positive in that sense is that he is young and maybe Ole or a manager in the future could probably work on it. I don't know if Ole could help him with that. But there's a few question marks there.
I think at the end of the day, just a quick one, I think at the end of the day, it'll be up to the player himself. I mean, you get a player like, I'll go back, like Theo Walcott. I always thought he had a lot of potential, but things like that as well for Theo Walcott could have worked. His ball control, number one.
Yeah.
Shocking. When runs at the ball, you saw him against Southampton. Even they played him down the middle. But
you know what Walcott reminds me of? It reminds me of one of those, those toys that you wind up, and they'll just keep moving forward. They'll keep moving forward. So even if they walk into the wall, they'll just keep going until they find a gap and then walk through. That's kind of what he reminds me of with the ball. Like he just puts his head 100%. Down and he goes.
Michael Owen roasted him in the game against Newcastle. Theo Walcott. I know he's speaking about Wan-Bissaka, but it was just quite interesting to see. Is Walcott has been very vocal his whole career that he wants to be. He had this idea that he was going to be Thierry Henry's successor. He was going to be the new number 14 down the middle.
He told me that.
And, oh, did he? When you met him?
Yeah, when I worked with him 2 years, and when we sat there, he was even when I was talking to him, he was convinced he was going to play in that number 14 Thierry Henry role, and I just kept thinking to myself, he believed it. He believed everything he was telling me. His confidence is off the charts, dude. I've never met such a confident, well put guy to get. Okay, wait, Bellerin's number 2. No, Bellerin's number 1 or 2. They're both super confident guys, but both like okay, which is probably why they are where they are in the first place. But sorry, you were saying
100%.
Yeah, but I do think. I mean, Owen put it perfectly. If you actually watch him in that central role, he doesn't make the right decisions when the time's right. So when he doesn't have the ball, he doesn't actually make the correct runs in behind. When he's got the ball at his feet, Che Adams was running in behind, a little around the corner pass, reverse pass was not on. He was taking shots wildly. So I agree with you on that. I mean, it is up to the player, and you got to play to your strengths, man. I mean, what is Theo Walcott's strengths? His strengths are pace. So I would work on 1 or 2 things that could help him with pace. If he plays out wide, it's knocking the ball past, getting good delivery, and working on that. Boom, boom, boom. And then
how did he score the goal? The goal that came, the first goal, he pinched it, used his pace straight in the box, passed it, goal. Yeah, that's where he's supposed to be. But sorry.
But to bring it back, let's bring it back to the United result. Let's face it, they've come from Europe where they've played in Turkey. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's under pressure. And he does what he does, right? This is pretty much expected. He's played against an Everton side that you could argue would probably be better suited if they were managed by Sam Allardyce in this particular game to get the result, which is the irony in all of this. They come out, and the first goal they suffer, you're thinking, oh boy, here we go. It's going to be the same old United. Route one, hit the weakness. Lindelof, absolutely pathetic in the air. Doesn't know what he's doing. Calvert-Lewin clips him to it. I don't even think he gets off the ground in challenging it. It was absolutely shocking. And definitely the weakness from United's perspective is the centre-back with Lindelof and in between there and him, Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka, great player, defending-wise, but that's pretty much what he offers you. So they concede that goal. And then if we've got to scrutinize and we've got to focus on the goal being scored getting past Wan-Bissaka, he's so right dominant that even when Bernard comes in and takes the touch to Kim in on his right, he attempts to make the tackle with his right foot across his body. So instead of ushering him and making the challenge or blocking with his left foot, he makes that typical challenge where players dominate one foot and crosses the leg right across. Wan-Bissaka, young man.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's obviously a much needed victory for Man United. I see it obviously made a few changes, and there's just obviously a lot. There's a lot of weaknesses that Man United have, and I think this is typical of the Man United way of late, of paper masking over the cracks, fixing the cracks at surface level, and they might win the next game, but then they might drop the next couple of points, and then they might go lose again in Europe, and then all of a sudden we're back at square one. I think there's a fundamental problem in that change room, specifically at Man United, and I really do think that, and I said it last week, Wong, where you were here. I think they're lacking a leader. They're lacking a Roy Keane. They're lacking your Phil Nevilles, your Gary Nevilles, your Paul Scholes, the guys that would take the game by the scruff of the neck when Alex Ferguson wasn't around on the pitch and actually sorted it out themselves. Because at times they're looking around, looking for answers, and they just don't have them. Harry Maguire is not going to give you that. Harry Maguire looks confused for 90 minutes constantly, even if he has a good game.
100%.
You just look at him; he looks confused. He does. And
the irony about him being confused, though, is he still had more goals or attempts on goals than what Aubameyang has had this season. Continue.
But for me, I like the fact that Mata played. I feel for Pogba. I know you felt for him last week. I've got a soft spot for Pogba. I know maybe his attitude sometimes isn't sort of right for a team that's maybe not doing so well, and maybe there's a reason that you can point for one of the downfalls of Man United. But for me, I just think a World Cup winner who was one of the MVPs 2 years ago for France in Russia, I just don't know that there's the right man in place to try and manage a player like that. A spoiled brat at times, but a game changer on the other side of the coin. And if they're going to be successful, they need to get Pogba firing again if they're going to be successful. And right now, they're going to struggle to get into the top half, to be fair. There's a couple of teams that are a lot better than them, smaller teams if you want to call it that. But there's a lot of teams playing far better than Man United. The Man United's not. It's not the shit. Can we go get a draw today? Can we close up shop? It's can we go have a go at Man United, because they've got the weakness at the back. They've got problems in the midfield. They're not firing up top. They sign in players that they probably don't need. They've got a manager who's probably not happy because he's not getting the players that he wants, or the players aren't happy with the manager that they have. I don't know what the issue is there, but I think they need big changes there if they're going to be successful. I fear for them. I really do.
Yeah, look, we know there's a lot of dark arts happening behind the scenes, but if we're focusing on this game in particular, they've gotten the 3 points. They're now sitting in 14th position. They've got their 10 points. They're still somewhere. I think they got a game in hand. They're still somewhere off the mark. They've got a -2 goal difference.
They're behind us, and look how shit we are. They're behind us, and look how shit we are.
So, that's arguably the positive thing for Newcastle. They're still 1 point ahead of Newcastle, ahead of Man United, which is obviously the thing. But if we're focusing on the goals that were scored and we're looking at United's performance, I think one of the key factors is something that Mosa has brought up to our attention previously, is that Mata started this game for United. Mata's a little bit of a ball player, isn't he? He knows how to find those pockets. He knows how to make little 1-2 changes in between the gaps. He is something that you could say that they're missing, a player that links between Rashford and Martial very, very well. And if we're looking at Fernandes, a leader in all the sorts, he does everything, right? He's got a little bit of everything. I mean, dare you compare him to like someone like Steven Gerrard? I mean, he doesn't even lick the guy's boots, but he does have the same sort of attitude in the team, and that's kind of what's carrying them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, no, look, I feel the same. I agree with you guys. Man United, I just don't know myself what is missing. But yeah, I mean, one matter, I think him starting definitely, like you say, filling in those pockets between there. But one thing I'm also not, I don't know about Rashford. He should also be. No one's really on his case. I mean, yeah, he's feeding the hungry, and and I think that's good. But on the field, I don't know. Like he's also. I feel like he's just like Aubameyang. He's not scoring. I mean, enough goals like he should be, and not even a goals. I think also assists as well. I think the first 1 or 2 games for me he was great, but the other 2 games I think he was pretty much missing for me, in my own opinion. And I think he could be a lot more dangerous. I mean, that opportunity at 1-on-1 where the ball came over, first touch wasn't great. And it put him out in a difficult position. That's why the shot ended up hitting straight into Pickford. And then there was this. I don't know if they gave that goal to Rashford, the header.
No, they gave it to Fernandes.
Yeah, because he didn't touch it, and I thought, man, he should have at least got a touch on that one. I just don't know. It's my own opinion. I just think Rashford should be doing better. 100%.
I think on the Mata situation, Claudio, I think for me a player like that is a luxury player, and we've spoken about that. We've used that term. And if you're going to use a luxury player in Mata, if he's playing on the sides, I mean, for me, he plays on the sides. If he plays on the sides, he's coming inside anyway. You need workhorses behind him, and they probably got it right. They probably got it right with the sort of players that they've played in Fred and McTominay. And Fernandes is one who works his socks off, and he will die for the team. But, then you look at a Pogba and the way he's sort of playing, and you maybe slot a Mata in the same lineup as a Pogba. Are you going to get that work from the two of them? More than likely not. Mata's not going to give you that defensive graft. Is his legs gone? I don't know if his legs are gone, but I do think you need that protection if you're going to get that end result. And the end result are those cute passes, are those passes that unlock defenses when they are sitting in deep, with runners running in behind or runners peeling off. So I think it's a valid option for them. And I just think we've said it. Musa's been crying. I think a lot of guys have spoken. If Ole's going to have a second option of how he's going to play, he's got a lethal weapon. He's a weapon, Mata. He needs to be used. And if they're going to progress, they need plan B, plan C, plan D, because right now plan A hasn't worked most of the season.
Yeah.
Most of the season.
I think, but even like I was saying, like with Rashford, I felt like the first few games he was the one doing that. I can't remember which one, so I can't remember exactly. But it was the first 2 games I watched Man United. Rashford was the one doing the final pass before Man United was scoring their goals.
Yeah.
And I honestly, maybe that's what their plan was, and then they didn't have. But now, definitely, it's not. You're right. It's not working.
They need Rashford. I think they need Rashford high up the pitch. I don't think they need to be relying on a Rashford to try and unlock defenses. He needs to be there with the final product, putting the ball in the back of the net. So
100%.
The quicker they find a solution, and it can't be one player. It can't be Fernandes. It can't just be Mata. It can't just be Pogba. It needs to be a combination of players. I mean, your source of goals.
Let's talk about the source of goals, and let's talk about having another player in the mix. And when you we throw Cavani's name out there, and you look at the finish. Sure, it was a counter attack. It was a breakaway, 4v2. Everton had to push bodies forward, and that was the result. Unfortunately, Allen, who's your deep line midfielder, decides to take on a player, plays a through ball, gets intercepted by the shit brick house, Harry Maguire, and then the counter's on. The brilliance in Fernandes to carry that ball all the way, carry the ball, and the timing of his pass, and just put Cavani in. When you got to look at his finish, Cavani, I don't think there are many players in the world that would be above him in terms of the list that you would want in that sort of situation, exactly where he found himself in. So as for another source of goals or another source of, hitting the back of the net, I think he's a great option, even though he is tired and he's not a long-term fixture by any means. I think that finishes exemplary of the type of player you have in a Cavani if United know how to utilize him properly under Ole.
Sure. I mean, for me, I don't think he was number one. I think you alluded to this a few weeks back. I think it was sort of a panic buy because they didn't get Sancho over the line. So it was like, okay, we need to give the fans something. I think they'd lost the game the week before, something like that. And Cavani was available, but listen, it's not a bad signing to have available at the last minute to sort of come into your squad and add a bit of beef. If they are going to progress in tournaments, I do think they will get out their group in Europe. I think his experience will be valuable for them. But I don't know. My worry is not them going forward. They'll score goals. They've proved that they can score goals. They scored 5 in a week against last week against Leipzig. They scored 4 against Newcastle. They can score goals. Can they keep them out the back? That's the biggest issue for me, and I'm not convinced yet.
We are on the theme of goals, and we've got one of our guests that we love having, and he's just got this for you, Wonga. Ole Watkins. Thanks, Marcus. Thanks for rocking up. Before we move on the game, though, Jason obviously played. Wrong one. He mentions obviously Pickford played, and he has another howler with Maguire. And for me, in that moment, it's absolutely shocking. There's no what he does in this moment with Maguire is he just misses the amount of contact that he has with Van Dijk, but the concept's the same. He comes out after, you would think he would have learned, but he comes out smashing the guy. The only difference is Maguire doesn't feel pain and his body's built like concrete. I think that's the only difference. I don't know. But like that for me, I've seen softer penalties this weekend given than what that happened in that moment.
I told you nothing good comes out of Sunderland. Nothing good comes out of Sunderland. And that includes Jordan Henderson, by the way.
Hey, no,
that's for you, Jason. That's for you, Jason, as well.
But Claudio, even looking at never mind Pickford's one, Maguire. I remember when the people were complaining about him holding against Chelsea. Was it against Chelsea when he held Asculipeta, when he literally grabbed him around as he went for a header? He did the same thing with he's like, I don't doing this. Who's this? Oh, Calvert-Lewin. Yes, he did the same thing with Calvert-Lewin. I think it was the first half. They didn't across. I think it was their first opportunity. Calvert-Lewin nicked a header over, but it just went over the bar. If Calvert-Lewin had just lost his legs, that would have been probably would have given a penalty deciding on VAR. His hands were all over Calvert-Lewin before Calvert-Lewin get a touch on the ball. I just don't understand how this guy's thinking. Both of them, Maguire, Pickford, but anyways.
Yeah, they're both mental. They're mental, and you know what? That's England's future at the moment, unfortunately. Damien says, every time Pogba has been dropped, and I know we've touched on Pogba, we know that Nick is a fan of Pogba. Me, I'm on the fence. I think we talk about luxury players. For me, I just don't think he gives the team what it needs, especially currently what they need. But he says every time they haven't played, they've done well without him. For me personally, if we're looking at things, I think his time at United is coming to an end. And I think January is only around the corner. Is his agent going to start? We know his agent's a shit stirrer. Is he going to start looking abroad and start looking for other things?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he's off. I mean,
I heard things.
If it's not working out, if it's not working out for him, I mean, he can easily go to. Can't jump as it is heavy. I'm sure there'll be suitors in Spain. There'll be suitors in Italy again. I wouldn't be surprised if a PSG even come in for him. But I think Pogba adds to the Premier League brand. I just think. I mean, I love the best players in the league coming to whatever team it is. 9 times out of 10, it's not Newcastle, so I just have to be in awe of them.
Well, let's talk about players coming to the league. The players coming to the league. Chelsea 4-1. As things stand, they've scored the most goals in the Premier League. They are flying. Another 4 goals, and 4 goals contributed everywhere. But the one player I want to talk about is Ziyech. The guy, Scott, did I pronounce that correctly if he's still there? Ziyech. Yeah. For me, it's like it's always interesting. The kind of player, Ziyech. The type of player you're getting when you are getting a player from Ajax is, he's going to be technically gifted. He's got a little bit of pace, but is he going to hit the ground running in the Premier League? And for me, he's absolutely done that. These 4 goals that they score on the weekend is largely because of the quality in this player. We know that they get caught sleeping a little bit. Sheffield have come out flying out of the blocks, and all of a sudden they crawl their way back. I mean, what's his name? Flipping Tabi Abraham. Scuffs his shot, and somehow they get back into the game. And from there, they manage to take control. But Ziyech, every ball he whips in with that left foot. Talk about educated. Moss has used this term before. Educated, quality, the time, everything. It's just... wow, what a player. What are your thoughts, Wonga?
No, I agree with you, Claudio. I think every cross, whose goal was it? Was it Chulo's goal? Looking at it, you guys, I still think the keeper could have done better, but maybe the way that ball came in, he just didn't know whether to go or come forward, and it left him right there, and it couldn't have been put in a better place. He just had to brought the keeper out, it was a tight angle, put it in. All the free kicks down on the right-hand side, all these in-swingers were giving them problems. I think every time it came in, they were just panicking and they just knew something was going to come out of it. But yeah, I think he's doing very well for a good start for a new signing. One of the new signings.
I think Wonga, can you say Spiliqueta again?
Claudio, you gotta load onto onto the YouTube, right? Yeah, so you can just rewind, check that.
Scott, how do you want to say it? Do you want to say Aspilicueta or do you want to say it the Barcelona way? Aspilicueta. I don't know.
Aspilicueta.
You know what I like Chilwell scoring is that somehow Chelsea have done it again where they found a like-for-like replacement in a left-back scoring goal. Chilwell, the ball keeps falling to him in the box and he's taking advantage of it. And I think if we're looking and assessing the game holistically from a Chelsea's perspective, I think the blessing in disguise comes in the form of a Pulisic injury. We know that with Pulisic coming, what does Lampard do? Now all of a sudden with Pulisic injured, he can play Werner on the left and he can play Abraham up front. And in some way, shape or form, they're actually more mobile. Because when I'm seeing a player like Werner, I'm loving seeing him on the left-hand side rather than hitting the line. I think he offers the team more when he hits on the left because he can make the runs down the line, but even more so, he can make runs in behind. And there's always that option, especially if you've got a player like Ziyech on the left and he's going to cut in. He's always got the diagonal as an option for a player like that. And I think the fourth goal that Werner scores is because he makes the running behind, defender can't see it.
It's a late run, yeah. I think also Kante going back into sort of more of a natural, deeper roles also helped them. I think. Can I comment on Chilwell's hairstyle? I think it hasn't really changed, but I just noticed how much jelly has in there, or how smooth and shiny his dark locks are. But
you know how it is when you go to Chelsea, you got to slick it up, dude. That's the Roman.
You got to slick it up. You live in fancy town, but I do agree. And I was reading something today, and Mourinho was just talking about how Spurs would possibly be able to be title contenders or possibly win the title in most European nations around or leagues in European nations. But in England, you've got all these top teams. And he mentioned Chelsea. I thought he didn't mention Chelsea. But the question that I asked was, are Chelsea contenders this year? And with what they've bought, if Frank can get that, if they can get it right, if they can get the right combination, and by the looks of it, they've got depth, they've got players that will return from injury. I think they are forced to be reckoned with because, like you said, they've got goals in them, and it looks like Frank's trying to sort out the defensive issues because they're not conceding as much as they were in the first couple of games of the season. So I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think we've got a four horse race here at the moment. By the looks of it, I would say Chelsea and Spurs are definitely in it.
100%.
Well, yeah, I think the title race thing is completely up for grabs in terms of these sides. I know we're going to move to it later, so maybe we're going to let's save that for the end rather, because it's going to touch into the Pep and Klopp comments that I want to discuss. But Lolo, by the way, likes the background Wongers, and so he's not on the show today, Marcus. Don't know why. You can ask him where he is, but he is watching. So thanks for joining in. But talking about Thiago being the difference at the back, I think a player like Kurt Zuma, and then you have Chilwell playing next to Thiago, I think that confidence is skyrocketing there. These guys they've also conceded, I think, what is it, Chelsea situation? They've scored 20 goals. They've got a plus 10 goal difference. So they've also got one of the lowest conceding rates in the league at the moment. So things seem to be doing all right. So as for them being title contenders, yeah, definitely. There's definitely a possibility there. Moving on to the West Ham Fulham game. I know we don't normally cover West Ham and Rich is here. He's not here today, but this game needs to be discussed anyway, just because of what happens within the last 5 minutes or so. Wonga, you're Lookman. You've got a chance to save a team, to save your team that's fighting for relegation, and you go and you try and hit a Panenka, and all of a sudden, bang! It's the worst thing that can happen whenever you attempt for a penalty. That's exactly what he landed up. What do you think? What was this about?
Look, no, I honestly, I never watched the Fulham game, the West Ham Fulham game. But after what you're telling me now, that's absolute madness. Why would you go try and do a Panenka to win the game? No way.
No, to level the game,
absolutely.
just to save the game. To save the game.
Yeah, I was saying. Why would you do that?
But I think for me, the last goal, the first goal for West Ham, or the only goal for West Ham, came so late as well, and then they have a chance a couple of minutes later in injury time to snatch a point in a London derby. I know he's a young boy. I think I heard Mitrovic speak now. He got interviewed in the Serbia camp, and he just said penalties are going back to him after that. And he said,
and you can picture his head as well.
Yeah, and he said it. And he said it now. Yeah, and he said it in a way, where he kind of protected Lookman, because he said Lookman is a young boy, but he completely balls it up.
In my country, we have hostage situations. We know how to butcher the pig. This poor kid, he stands up to take a big moment like this. It's not going to work. Yeah.
I'm sure he saw newspaper. That's what he saw. He saw newspaper headlines, and he wanted to make it great.
You know, like, I looked at the situation again, and what I think's actually happened here is that, firstly, it was a straight penalty. It was a giveaway penalty, and the ref doesn't give it, and it has to go back to VAR. So it's the one instance where I can say VAR gets it right. But in that time, I think Fulham are convinced that they're getting a penalty here, and I think there's like a 5-minute delay. So there's a lot of time to be had. There's a lot of thinking that's happening. And as you can see, he knows he's going to take this penalty, and he probably thinks, you know what, I'm going to spot it bottom left. Then time goes on, and he's going, naming headlines. I can see it. I can see Lookman hits a Panenka, a ping. I think that's kind of, and you can actually see it as he attempts it. Normally how these things happen is, or the ones that are successful anyway, they're a lot more casual. There's a lot less thought, and it's just like, bang, I'm going to put it down the middle. This guy thinks so hard about it. I actually think he hits a bit more of the ground than he does, and he doesn't get.
Yeah, he does.
He hits it too well. That actually there's no power on it. It's actually.
Yeah, there was no power on it. It was almost going backwards. It was so slow. But he looked like he was. The players were consoling him at the end. I mean, I think I would have hoped to be the manager there, because I'm sure Scotty Parker came out and said that's not how you take a penalty, and that's classic Scotty Parker. He would have gone up, tucked his shorts, tucked his shirt into his shorts, and just banged it down the middle. But he looked inconsolable, and he looked like he just wanted the ground to swallow him up. So it was agreed for me. I
promise you now, though, Nick, if I was that manager, I don't know if I would be able to hold back my emotions. I think I'd let him know exactly how I'd feel about that.
But now, let me paint this picture for you. If Fulham go down on goal difference, or if they go down with 2 points above or just below the drop, how's that boy going to feel? How's that boy going to feel?
Well, he's going to have to harden the fuck up. That's what he's going to do. We're going to move on. And we're going to talk about West Brom, Spurs, talking about hardening the fuck up. We got Mourinho really giving the Spurs team a bit of a teaspoon of cement, because this is kind of what's happening at the moment. Really shit game. Terrible game to watch. West Brom, actually kind of surprised me. I think they had a decent game. And then all of a sudden,
100%.
Harry Kane, who else pops up right at the end and says, "Thanks, guys. Thanks, boss. Thanks, dad." I can already see it. He sees Mourinho as a father figure more than he has seen anyone else. He calls him father. I'm telling you.
Daddy, what do you say in Portuguese? What do you say, Papa?
Pai. No, it's Pai Mourinho. Pai Mourinho. That's what's going on there.
No, I think it looked like it was. It just looked like it wasn't going to come. But the Spurs of late it's falling to them. You know, everything is falling into place. They're getting the clean sheets now. They're looking a little bit more solid, and they're winning games the ugly way sometimes. You know, they're winning when maybe you think it is going to be a 0-0 draw. And that is, there were periods in the season last year, Claudio, where your team was doing that. You were winning your 1-0s, your 2-0s, you know, and it was not the most entertaining game, but you were getting over the line. And dare I say it, you know, we are only 8 games in, but he's making them and molding them into a team that can challenge. I'm not saying they'll win it, but they can at least challenge and have the steel in their back to sort of get past the festive period in a good position. And if they're in a good position, the running, you never know. With the Harry Kane firing. And Harry Kane's going to need to stay in form, because England are going to need him for the Euros. So I think he's got something to look forward to. He's going to have He's going to have to work in staying in form with the power of Bale and Son next to him, with the depth that they have. I'm highly impressed. I think Harry Kane scored his 150th goal.
He's leveled with Michael Owen now. Yeah.
And I think it was his 34th headed goal, which was quite impressive that I saw today. So, I'm not. Yeah, he did score with his head, right? Or he scored 34. He scored 34 headers in his career. So yeah, it's. I think they've got something different to what they've had under Pochettino. I think it's a bit more steel, a little bit more arrogance about them, which will help them.
Well, you know what the strange thing is? Pochettino leaves, and there's all that talk. Especially the man that I'm not a fan of at all, Tim Sherwood. He loves bashing on Mourinho, number one, but he likes bashing anyone else who has the Spurs job because he wishes he had it. Also, he has a terrible managerial.
He failed there. That's why.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Terrible record, by the way. Shocking, but he's got the biggest mouth. Anyway, the 100%. Thing is, as soon as Pochettino leaves, all these pundits are coming out saying Harry Kane's got to leave. His next move is United. How have things changed now? I can tell you now, with Mourinho being there, with Bale coming in, with one or two of the other players that have come in, the likes of the left back, the Spanish boy, I think Harry Kane is in his element now. He's going, holy shit, I'm playing with the likes of a Bale, which he's never going to get at United. And all of a sudden, I'm the main man still at my club, where I've got a huge opportunity. If they do not win something this season, whether it's Europa, whether it's League Cup, or whether it's anything really, it's going to be a huge opportunity missed, I think, for the player's career and the likes of a Harry Kane, as well as for Mourinho. And I don't think Mourinho is going to take anything less than a trophy this season.
Sure, but the big thing for me in the media, it's always been Harry Kane. Is it time he goes to? He's 27. Should he go to Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Man United, or whatever it is to go and progress his career? Man United isn't really a progression. But if you're going to go to Spain, look at Hazard. He's struggled. I know he's had a few injuries, but it's not always greener on the other. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And now you say you're correct. You're so correct, Claudio. Maybe something is forming there, and the North London is now looking more white than it has ever been, than it will be red. And I'm worried for your club, Wonga. We've got a very strong Spurs team developing here, and Arteta must follow suit. I'm very hopeful for Arteta, but they're forming something quite powerful there. And it's exciting for the league. It's exciting to have a strong Spurs team, and another London team or another team in London pushing the likes of Chelsea and fighting for the title.
I think like what Nick said when I watched Tottenham as well. Yeah, it's a bit awkward. You gotta they're winning those games. Some of the games are quite nice to watch, but they're London rivals. You want to be doing better than them. And also, just to add to what Nick was saying, they also a positive for them is that they're winning games where you don't even see a win coming. 87th minute, I would have thought probably have been a penalty, but they really scrambled that ball in the back of the net. Again, City as well. Before Liverpool, last season Liverpool were also winning games like that. The 1-0s, the 2-1s. Same thing with City the season before that. I remember many times not many, but a couple of times where Sterling, Aguero putting balls in the back of the net, like in the 80th, 90th minute. They scored a couple of goals there that were vital to them winning the season. Still early days, but they had to win this game and they won it. That's what matters at the end of the day. Not what they should have done, what they did.
Talking about the title and leading the title, and Leicester have done it again, albeit it was a game of two teams cancelling each other out, and it was one crazy, ridiculous decision that kind of also immediately got mirrored in the next game with the Liverpool-Man City game. The handball decision, the VAR decision, the bullshit rule that I can't even keep up with anymore. I just don't understand. I think it's a bunch of academics making decisions that athletes experience when they're playing, and I think the way in which the decisions are going, and I've said this before, that the only way this will be successful moving forward is if players either play with their arms behind their backs or they just like that. I think, I was going to say have their arms chopped off, but that's quite extreme. But I think just have their arms tied behind their backs is the only way they're going to be doing it, because how can a player in his natural position, when he's tracking back, Thing gets smashed into him in a space of 2 or 3 meters. Literally, he can be seen trying to pull his hand away. If the ball does make it past him, it's not going to interfere with or possibly be a goal-scoring opportunity. Yet, the decision is still taken, being like, this is going to be a penalty. Nick, you've gone in these classes, you know the rules. I think this is all bullshit, but please just explain this to me.
Yeah, it was I mean, we had a chat, I think, in the last 2 trips that I've done to the UK, and I mean the intentional rule, that in word intentional's been scrapped, because I think that was a big contentious issue.
100%.
And if the hands are in a position that are away from the body, unfortunately they're going to be called, and whether or not I agree with it. But unfortunately, I think VAR has come into a lot of scrutiny, where I think they did a poll, I think over the last week or so. I think Sky Sports did it with X amount of fans, and I think 85% of the fans said they would rather do away with VAR altogether.
I agree.
Because, at the end of the day, VAR maybe for offsides, maybe. I don't know. I know they've even been contentious.
Look at Bamford. Bamford's offside. This is some crazy shit. Yeah.
Fair enough, but I think the penalties are issues. Maybe we stick with the goal line technology only, which is probably the most contentious if the ref doesn't get it right, because it's a goal. Remember, penalty isn't a goal yet. We also need to remember that the goal, it is a very good chance, but when balls going over the line and they're not given, then I think that is something, but that is a completely different system, and it has nothing to do with VAR. Although the system just before we came back from lockdown actually didn't, I think they did not give one of the goals to Aston Villa, if I'm not mistaken, or to one of the teams that got relegated. Might have been Bournemouth. And they actually said, I think it was over 1,000 games of football, there was never a mistake with that, and they actually technology got it wrong. So unfortunately, we're relying on an automated system and being opinionized by people, like you said, that are potentially academics that aren't on the field. Someone said it the other day, the best referees are refereeing in the Premier League. They're refereeing every match. There's 10 matches a weekend. They referee. They're the best eyes, and they know the rules the best. You got guys that we've never even heard of that are sitting in a room making decisions. So if you actually think about it, and I said this a couple of weeks ago, the best people that understand are the ones on the field. They should be the ones actually in the room, because they're in the room, they're making all the calls. Are they not?
Yeah, which like begs the question. They should then, while they're not going to the screen more often than what they are at the moment in terms of the Premier League. But we know the Premier League like doing things different. We also know that FIFA introduced this beast without knowing how to tame it, which is some bullshit. They were just trying to look innovative. But moving on to the one that there's probably
just
more...
in terms of Leicester, just a quick comment. I think the way Brendan Rodgers has got them set up, I think they look very dangerous, and I'm not suggesting that they'll put a title front challenge on, but I mean, they've done it before. Although they look so devastating when they've got the ball in deeper areas and teams are pressing them high, because they can play out, and they've got, if there's space to run into the likes of Maddison, Pratt, Vardy, Barnes, it's devastating. It's actually devastating what they can do to teams. I'd like to see them continue it, and it will be interesting to see how they get on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, like we've spoken about, there's a lot of guys that are in contention for pushing, and one of the benefits Leicester do have is that they're not playing as many games as the other sides are, which means they can set up, have more time to prepare in relation to the competition. Which and we know Brendan Rodgers is You know, he's pragmatic to the point where he knows how to set up his team. He's an awesome trainer, allegedly. They say he's a great coach. And that's where his strength is. And now he can manage his players, which he's learnt, I would think, over the years from when he joined Liverpool to now. I think he's a lot more assertive, has a lot more conviction about how he comes out into the dugout, how he addresses his players, how he hits his notepad like a Mourinho does. Even though I saw that meme this weekend about Mourinho writing Jose, and it was like one of those S's that he draws, but that was his tactics. So that's the interesting thing. However, guys, we're talking about the penalties. We know that Gomes suffered a similar penalty. We're not going to go down this path because you've elaborated. Wonga, that reaction was brilliant, because what is your overall view on the Man City Liverpool clash that everyone was talking about in terms of this is going to be a goal thriller and ended up 1-1? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I for one, I think I remember last week, if I can remember correct, I did think everyone, I mean, even the bookies were thinking Man City were going to take it clean, never mind a goal thriller. And I just thought there's no ways. I thought Liverpool, I mean, they just said Jota.
That's my uncle.
Your uncle drinking, he's on the good shit. Anyway, sorry, continue. Okay.
So I thought, I mean, Liverpool, what's the season been about? Good goals, they're able to keep a clean sheet. And I mean, you've seen the last times they played Man City, the problems there were Mane, Salah, Firmino, and now they've just added Jota to that mix as well. He can also give you goals as well. So I just didn't see it being a straightforward match for Man City. Had De Bruyne put the ball in the back of the net, I think that would have Man City would have probably been able to keep it till the end. But Liverpool also still had the players to bring it level again. So I think end of the day, I think a 1-1 result was fair. And I also kind of think it's probably what you should have expected, because the guys have been playing. I mean, City played that same team, only missing Aguero. Liverpool has also been playing that same team against the same. They've been playing each other for a long time now. So I think the players kind of they understand each other and know what to expect from this player and that player. So it's not a surprise result. It's not a surprise result for me.
No, Claudio, I'm looking at the stats. You know, at Liverpool, you dominated the shots. You dominated. You didn't dominate the possession. However, there were 19 fouls as opposed to, I think, 10 for Liverpool. So they had to contain you. They had to, work hard. Work hard in general for the whole, for actually the point. However, they are a team that like to keep the ball, and I think it's testament to the way Liverpool like to play, and their transitions are nice and quick. Trying to get them to face their own goal. Obviously, I mean, I'd mentioned this game is going to be pivotal in terms of the title race. I'm a little bit, for lack of better words, upset that it's come so soon. I think it would have been nicer if it actually happened in closer to the festive period. There's my uncle again.
Thanks, Ronnie. There's only one Steve Bruce, and we're super thankful that there's only one, to be honest. Sorry.
But my question to you is, was that the Liverpool that can perform as a title-winning team? Was that a good enough performance in your opinion? Do you think you could have done better? Were City there for the taking?
Let me tell you, this was fascinating for me, because what happens against Atalanta, we know Jota has a blunder. He's absolutely unplayable on the day. The game ends, and there's a post-match sort of interview with Jurgen Klopp, and they ask, so what are you going to do now? Are you going to drop Firmino? Are you going to play Jota? And that's what the whole conversation was about. But he nearly said something that he held back, and he realized he didn't want to give too much information away. It was almost like a little plan or an ace that he had up his sleeve. And so the whole week we were asking, is it going to be Jota? Is it going to be Firmino? Who's going to play? Who isn't going to play? And what he did was, in the end, he went with both. And on paper, that makes sense. But Guardiola mirrored exactly what they did, how Liverpool had set up, which is always interesting, because they tend to do that. If the one's playing 4-3-3, the other one does exactly the same thing. If the one's going more of a 4-2-4 or 4-4-2, then the other one does exactly the same thing. And, you guys are talking about being at a typical Liverpool. Yeah, first 30 minutes, there was one side playing the game. Liverpool could have put their game to bed within the first 30 minutes. Had they taken their chances, they probably would have. The game would have been different, would have been a different result. They would have tapered it off, kept possession. That would have been the game done. However, they didn't take their opportunities. And the thing I've got to ask myself, and I mean, you know me, I'm a Bobby Firmino supporter, number one. But what happened was there were certain scenarios where just his pace kind of pulled back a little bit. There were one or two decisions. Look, he was phenomenal. He kept the play in the middle of the park. He kept us going, which is great, and he allowed us to build up. But in the final third, where we needed a bit more pace, where we needed a bit more like quicker thinking, not saying he doesn't think quick enough, but just quicker feet, that's where I started thinking. I was like, I wonder if Jota was in that position. I wonder if we had just kept Salah on the left and played him up front, what would have happened? So that's the sort of scenario. However, the game plays the way it does. We don't take our chances. And they'll end up scoring largely because of us changing our formation, not having enough time to work on it. What happens is we're playing a 4-4-2. We've got Mane. Mane flipping loves a press. We know for me, he's our best player because he does a bit of everything and he sets the tone. I know we talk about Bobby, who's smart and he sets the trap, but Mane is all guns blazing. And he goes in from the left-hand side. He's playing on the left now in the 4-4-2, and he goes up and he presses the center back. What happens is he doesn't win and he doesn't drop back. Now, all of a sudden, when we normally have three players, and I'm getting technical here, so stick with me if you guys are into this. If you're not, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this anyway. You've got three center mids in the midfield, right? Normally how we play. So we've normally got cover. If you've got Firmino who goes up, we've got a Fabinho, we've got a Wijnaldum or Hendo who covers in that position. What's happened now is because we're playing a 4-4-2, Mane is bombed forward, and now we've got all this ground that Wijnaldum has to cover. Walker finds himself in a position where he's got miles of space. That guy who's as thick as pig shit, by the way, I'm not a fan of his. He has all the space and manages to pick out De Bruyne. Now, also, we really got to get technical and really got to dive deeper and go, okay, the difference between a Matip who's just come back playing against the City, who did well for us, but the difference between him and Van Dijk is you've got Gundogan who makes this run. He makes the run, and what happens is Matip follows the runner, gets pulled out of space, and the ball gets played into a man who always looks like he's in the middle of the jungle forest, just swiping things away. His touch is erratic. The tapping merchant, what's his name? Zejuz. Mr. Please, don't tell me. Jesus, don't tell me that touch was intentional. Was that touch intentional, Wonga?
Yeah, it's like a Dennis Bergkamp. 100% intentional. No, I'm joking. It was horrid. Horrid.
I mean, that's the point. So Man City have that one moment. They have that one moment where the ball's wet. It comes off his foot. Shay Given comes out saying it was intentional, absolutely smoking socks. Then they get the penalty, which by the way, I'm super fortunate. I was like, well, this is the game. If they score this, the game's done. Which De Bruyne landed pulling it. I think De Bruyne was trying to put an assist through instead of trying to finish the goal off himself. I think he needed Henry to run into the box when that was taken. Actually, that's what I think he was going for.
I heard someone said he tried to cross it.
But I think in general, though, I think for the title race, and I know we're going to speak about it now, I do think that hey, Farrell, how you doing, man? Thanks for watching.
Hey, Mr. Farrell, how's it, man?
But what I wanted to say is, I think for all the teams that are in contention for sort of the title, we're looking at that sort of top six right now. That's probably the best result that could happen.
Definitely.
Leicester, Spurs, a Chelsea. I would be licking my lips at a 1-1 draw for the two of those teams.
Yeah, and to that point, it's a fantastic result for the neutrals. But this is what I want to dive deeper into before we finish with the cherry on the cake. Is what happened second half was the game tapered off completely. Man City started taking more control. The players looked fatigued, and this is where the amount of games you could argue are kicking in. And this is where a Klopp and a Pep Guardiola come out in agreement saying they can't understand why the whole of Europe are allowed 5 substitutions, but in England, where they play more games than the leagues, they only allow 3. And then the conversation or the debate is, So
Sky Sports did a poll today with 18 clubs. 18 clubs got back to them. 8 clubs 10 clubs were for it, 8 clubs were not for it. And that's an increase of 2 clubs that were not for it previously, but have now possibly realized that they've got a few injuries, and that potentially is going to add to them having 5 substitutes, is going to add to their sort of depth pool that they can draw from. I can tell you right now, teams like Newcastle, teams like Burnley, teams like West Ham, Leicester, 3 substitutes suit those teams. I'm telling you right now, because they don't have the quality that Liverpool have on the bench.
Yeah.
No.
So Leicester. Let's talk about teams towards the end of the league table who aren't playing as many games as Liverpool. We've only got to worry about a League Cup game in December, possibly an FA Cup run, which will probably get knocked out in the first round or the third round, and then we've just got the Premier League to focus on. So why do we need 5 substitutes when I go play against a Man City and they can bring on 5 international players and they're going to score 6 or 7? So I understand that point of view. I understand Liverpool, Man City, Spurs that are going to go and challenge, and they're going to be playing in all these European competitions. They're going to get injuries. They're going to get fatigued. They haven't had a proper break.
Yeah.
5 substitutes. So the 5. Yeah.
Sorry. No, I was just saying, as I agree on like I heard. Remember, Ole was also complaining about not the substitutions. He was complaining about the way the games are playing, and he was complaining about playing on a Sunday rather than a Saturday. And for me, I felt, I mean, look, you can't really complain about that, because it's what's going to happen. Everyone is doing that. Everyone's going to be playing 3 games in a week now. So, but the next best thing is then allow the 5 substitution. It's probably logical.
Richard Masters said it today. It's not going to happen this season. So I think we can forget about that. Yeah, it's not going to happen. 14 teams have to vote, and I think, Claudio, you know that 14 teams have to vote in favor of a rule change. So that's not going to happen. So I understand. Listen,
it's why the Super League wants. That's why they want to break away and start the Super League.
So for me, I do understand, but you also got to understand why a team like maybe even a Leeds or a team that's just come up, they're not gonna want to play against a Liverpool that can bring on 5 players, because your 5 substitutes would start. Your 5 substitutes would start for a team that's just been promoted.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Makes sense.
Speaking to Farrell Jones's point, does it not favor the bigger clubs? The only difference is that the bigger clubs play more games, unfortunately. Which Trent Alexander, another injury.
So it does favor them.
Another injury now, because they've been overplayed. And also, let's take Liverpool. Let's take Liverpool.
You can have 5 substitutes in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken, and in the Europa League. I think that is week in week.
They are allowed 5. They are allowed 5 substitutions.
They're allowed 5. So, Marcus, we play the blind school. We play the blind school in friendlies. But no offense to any blind viewers.
Yeah, I was about to say the blind viewers will probably teach Newcastle a thing or two.
Yeah, but I think that's where now the best of the best out of those managers are going to be, in terms of how they're going to manage their squads, how they're going to rotate. If there's 5 substitutes allowed in Europe, that's the opportunity to, once you get out your group and you've qualified, that's an opportunity now to rotate as much as you can, to rest players for the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, this is the one I've been waiting for. This is the one that Matthew has said we cannot let slide. This is the one, Wonga, where the 90-degree turn has happened. Arsenal at home and a 3-0 hiding. Aston Villa, thanks for coming. Wham Bam, thank you.
Yes, guys. I won't even lie to you guys. Honestly, I did not expect this. I don't know, this guy's on the Sky Sports. He always this guy they have who predicts as well. I think he predicted a 2-0 loss to Arsenal, and I was like, yes, that's disrespectful. Arsenal are scoring a goal. Like, what is he smoking? Next thing, game comes up when you get hammered. 3-0. Absolute shock for me. Can't lie to you. But watching the game, obviously not shocked at all. I mean, even the first goal, that should have been allowed, to be honest with you. if you look at it, the keeper really can't do anything about it, whether he saw it or not. What's this guy saying? Even the blind views. Okay, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, Nick's trying to adjust his hair. Keep going, Wonga. Sorry.
No, watching the whole game, I just. Then again, I can't also. Aston Villa also playing very well. All their goals were good goals. Even the one that was marked off as offside. Was that Chrissy Jade? Yeah, it is a tough one to answer. But yeah. But then the one thing that's concerning for me is that Brom is our striker. He's the guy who wants to score, that we bought to score goals. And Arsenal forever had that one player in their team. Since the days of Thierry Henry, Dennis Bergkamp, all of them. But now in this game, he's got 0 shots on target. And they're playing the guy down the middle, Lacazette. And I've said to you guys, yeah, I like what he does off the ball, but yeah, definitely his finishing is questionable for me. He shouldn't be playing. Lacazette shouldn't be playing in the middle if he's not scoring our goals. If he's not scoring and you can't put him behind the striker, then take him off the field, put someone else. But Aubameyang for me needs to be that guy down the middle. He should have had those chances that Lacazette had, and I'm pretty sure he would have at least had 1 goal. And I mean, like the goal, the chances Lacazette had, those were all before I think the 60th minute. And that the score was still 1-1. We still could have leveled it by then. That didn't happen. And also I lost to what's his name, Partey as well at halftime. Him coming off, big loss, but I don't think that's the reason we lost 3-0. I think we're not scoring goals for me, which is my biggest problem.
You know, Claudia, Wonga, I mean, I know we're speaking about your sort of deficiencies at the moment, but, you know, if we talk about Villa and just the quality of their first goal, it was an own goal, but I thought they slowed it down too much. It's just the movement and the quick thinking by Barkley and Grealish and Target and the cross. It was incredible. The cross was unreal. I mean, shame. I thought you would have give credit to I thought the boys scored on the side. Is it Trezeguet?
Yes,
but they gave it to Saka. I mean, just the build-up and the sort of, they had this arrogance of who are Arsenal. You know, let's take this game to them. You know, Grealish had his socks lower than ever. He looked like he just came out of the nightclub with that hairstyle. And he was just having fun. It looked like he was playing for fun. And he looked like he was enjoying it.
Nick, here's the thing though, is we expect this from Jack Grealish. We expect it. What we don't expect is when a Scouser he's got Scouse and Nigerian in him to do the samba, because he's been influenced so much by a Grealish. That team was absolutely buzzing. The confidence is on a certain level. The Arsenal players were petrified to come close and make a tackle. They literally just watched them make a ball, make passes until they went in.
So you finish, Nick. You finish.
There was a time when Barkley, I think, did like 3 stepovers, but he was standing still. And he was like, is anyone going to come and get him?
There's moving like this. There's doing a little shimmy,
That wasn't even a step over. That wasn't even a shimmy. It looked guitar what he was doing. But like again, you heard. Why wasn't anyone? And what Rob Holding watching him? Oh, goodness me.
For me, I was disappointed in Arsenal because Villa proved in the last couple of games that they can concede goals. Yes. They might have fixed their issues, but did Arsenal really even pose a threat? Not really.
No.
So, you know, I said it already, Wonga, and I said if this is going to be a season where you guys are going to kick on, these are games you should be winning at home. And credit to Villa. I agree with Scott. Credit to Villa. But this is the same Arsenal we're talking about. You have a great result last week, and then you come and you lose to a team that you should be beating. Man for man, you should be beating.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's also, I know we always say, ole. But if you look at it, the truth, it's not that far. Now we said we're not conceding, like I was saying, we don't concede many goals. Okay, now we've conceded 3, and now we're not in that position anymore. There's other teams that have conceded less than us now. And And yeah, and I mean, Arteta was telling Willian that he's going to win the Champions League in 3 years. My goodness me, which Champions League is this? I don't know.
It's the one where they break away and start their own league, where they play against their B team.
No, like honestly, guys, that was for me like the worrying thing for me. The biggest worrying thing, I think, the two. I'll put the first one. Saka. I got Pepe at times, but Saka and Pepe, let's say Saka and Pepe are the only two players who are going to be taking on players. The rest are just passing back, and we need someone to try at least take on some players. The next thing is we're not scoring enough goals. I think we've got 9. We've conceded more than we've scored. 100%.
Yeah, minus 1 goal difference. Yep.
Yeah.
You've conceded 10 goals and scored 9.
No.
And Damien pointed this out. We're talking about Aubameyang being a striker. We know that Aubameyang can score goals. We know he's a world-class finisher.
Yes.
But you've got problems when he has to be a creator, and that's where he is right now. He's creating things.
No, he shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Where's this guy? Yeah. There he is, Oaks.
He was doing sit-ups yesterday.
That's it.
We know.
He's sitting in a box.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's in a box.
Sitting in a box.
Doing pull-ups in Monga's box at home. That's the problem. Yeah, they need that creator. They don't have him.
He was doing sit-ups yesterday, or today actually, and he hashtagged always ready. So I was like, that's a little bit of a dig. He's always ready. He's waiting.
But you know what I love about him as well?
What was it?
He's always ready, but he's also got an investment company that he's just opened up. The man's clued up. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a politician. I won't be surprised. Mark my words. I'm making a bold prediction. I love my bold predictions. Give another 10 years and the guy's going to run for Turkish government. You watch.
Well, I'll tell you what though, Wonga, I'm going to tell you something. What I am happy about is Gunnosaurus. They gave him his job back. Because they announced it now on Sky Sports about an hour ago.
Hectic.
Is back.
My man.
I think Mesut Ozil's plea to pay his wages has been heard by the board, and they've employed him. They've re-employed him. I can't recall what the guy's name is, but at least he's going to be back. Maybe that's a little silver lining for you to take into the international break.
Yeah, maybe.
Sorry, Wonga. I'm just gonna laugh at this because it's so true. This Nick, the only pop vinyls that have hair like Nick, and I can see it. You could be on the cover of a 70 vinyl cover. Sorry, Wonga, you were saying.
No, that's good. No, I'm saying maybe that's the kind of source. I honestly wish he was the reason why we're not scoring. But that's my biggest concern now. It's Arsenal scoring, and also this ambitious thing. Like I remember Wenger had this four-year plan that never materialized. Look, everyone has plans, and I don't want to mock the guy, but there was Klopp as well who said it. He said he would win a title within 4 years, and I think he did it before that. And he brought in a lot, so it's possible. Then now Arteta, he said it to Willian that 3 years he's going to win the Champions League. 3 years, guys. The first season, we close to halfway point of the first season. We definitely not with the players that we have now. We're going to win it, and I think just to close on the one point, I think I don't know who was in the comments mentioned something about Saliba and the situation there as well.
I'll find a few. It was Christy said he's being wasted. He's got wasted legs, Saliba.
Yeah, I read the whole story as well. I think, again, just based on what I'm reading, I'm not there at the training ground. I think both parties tried their best. And I mean, you also got, who's this now? This French team is playing for now. I'm forgetting their name now. But yeah, I think it was said Etienne that said that they also feel that Arsenal were also wrong because they apparently they said they had a deal for him during the transfer window, and somehow they messed that up and things like that. So they also aren't happy with what's happening with Saliba as well, him not playing as well.
And also, the outlay for a player like that to just be wasted. I know he's had some like personal issues that he's going through, but 30-something million pounds for a player who's that young.
Personal issues? I've missed this. What are his personal issues?
Apparently, someone in his family had passed away or something, and moving to England was a big move for him. So they're trying to like give him space and find his feet. But
I think
he's also a professional player, man. He must sort himself.
Yeah, 19 years old.
Yes, but remember, I think he also picked up an injury as well. He was meant to go out on a loan, but then they weren't able to close the deal for some reason. Arteta was saying that they literally tried, and even he said he's also frustrated at the Silva situation as well. I think the pro to it that he is young, but again, I don't think he's even been included in the squad, just like a Mesut Ozil as well.
You need balls of steel to be a professional footballer, and you've seen it. That's what separates the best from the rest. You know, I know people have family issues, you know, and that's why the pyramid, as a young player, there's a lot of footballers, but the higher you go up, the less players there are there, because you need everything. You need physical, you need mental, you need tactical, and you need
character.
I mean, he was meant to go out. Like, he went out on loan, then he got injured. So he got injured, and then Arteta said that period was good.
So he's physically not capable, Wonga. Is that what you say?
Yeah, he wasn't capable. Then no. Yeah, but it's not. I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just the misfortunes of, like you're saying, it's professional football. It happens, and I think he just has to deal with it. And I think they will. I promise you, they will reach an agreement. I think Saliba just needs to relax if he is angry about it. I'm not too sure how he feels about it, but he just needs to relax. And I mean, he'll get it. He's 19.
Yeah, but a young player, you know, if you're a young player and you're talented, you want to kind of get off the bench. You kind of want to get some run. But the irony in all of this is Wesley Fofana from Leicester City, also 19-year-old, signed from the same club. He's getting his run out, and he's doing a hell of a job for Leicester. And that's
top of the league.
Top of the league, and he's playing for a side where he costs like at least half the price than what this players cost, and that's why I think Dumo Denga says it best. Your brother, you know, just throw him on the pitch. But at the end of the day, we also know Arsenal, there's something not right in terms of the decision making with transfers. They're overspending for players. Pepe is a great example. £60 million on a player who can't even come off the bench and do anything for you guys. 72 million pounds. But one thing I want to say, guys, I know we're detracting a little bit from Aston Villa. I know Arsenal in a strange place. It's like Arsenal a bit bipolar. They had us up here last week, and now down here we're like, typical Arsenal. But
Man United,
Aston Villa, Man United, same thing. Yeah, so the inverse. It's like they know they're playing with us. But Aston Villa, the ride they are currently on, I'm there for it. I want to be a part of the ride. I'm enjoying every second of it. They remind me, you know what? When I watch them play, they are reminding me of when we used to play soccer when we were 12, 13. Just absolutely fearless, not afraid to just run with the ball. Grealish, if you guys had an option to take Grealish, where would you put him? Who would you want him to play for? He could literally walk into any side. I think the only side he couldn't walk into at the moment is a Liverpool, largely because of the discipline that's required, and that player like that needs to be set free. But who would not have that player right now? That's how hot he is.
Yeah, true. I agree too.
I mean, his England, he's been called up by England, and rightly so. And his age is incredible. Someone was telling me the other day that he's already the most fouled Premier League player in history. I don't know how Stan can correct it. Because he is the most fouled player. Oh. I don't know how true that is, but maybe it was in the last 2 seasons or so. But in terms of him sort of being in dangerous areas and sort of, you know, the way he plays is, I can see it. They've got a Barkley, they've got Ollie Watkins up front, they've got Tyrone Mings at the back, who's solid and playing for England himself. They've got Martinez in goals, who's probably made a good choice by leaving Arsenal. By the result on Sunday, it seems like he made the right choice.
Hitting low blows, yeah.
I feel absolutely nothing for Villa. I can't stand them because they laughed at us when we got relegated at them in 2009 or 2008 it was, and they made a big banner, Tears on the Tyne, Tears for Toon. I can't remember what it was exactly. So they can shove it, and I hope they don't succeed. Although they are a good team. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah,
I think you're taking a lot of things personally. Sorry, Wonga, go for it.
No, yeah, like watching Grealish, like you said, Claudia. I felt like Grealish sort of even in the Liverpool game, like Grealish sort of the way he was playing, like the persona that like the way he was just relaxed. It sort of it gave everyone was doing the same thing, you know. And I felt like he was the one that started. Pretty much irritating when you're playing against someone like that. It wasn't nice watching that happen to your team. But yeah, I remember when he was playing against Liverpool, it was actually quite interesting to watch. But yeah, not against us.
Yeah, I think Aston Villa have definitely shown it's no fluke, and it's a quality player who's now got one or two players around him that he feels he can play with as opposed to play by himself. And they've got nothing to lose and they're going to go for it, which makes it an entertaining prospect. And also the conditions that the league's currently being played in gives them a huge opportunity to get whatever they want out of this. Whether or not Grealish is there come end of the season, that's a whole nother conversation. If he keeps going this way, I think he could fit into Juventus, for example, just the way he plays. I think he would do great in Serie A. But Wonga, you had Ceballos on the bench, you had Pepe on the bench, you had David Luiz on the bench. And yet, out of all these players that had a really good chance for you was Rob Holding. He was probably the closest to scoring.
Look, I think I was even asking. I didn't mention it last week, but I was thinking about it. Is that questioning whether he would actually start David Luiz in the game? And David Luiz, you can see he's the nice thing about him is able to, also do get some passes going on, able to switch ball left to right, play the striker in behind as well. But I was also questioning whether he's gonna start because of the injury he picked up before. So Arteta's thinking, okay, just maybe he's thinking this that Aston Villa are not that strong going forward. Maybe they can still unlock them in another way. And David Luiz, de-risking playing. I mean, he is probably compared to last season, not even compared to last season, he is probably our best defender next to Gabriel. And you want him to be there for the whole season. So try to give him a rest, So that's why I think he ended up starting Rob Holding before him. Why not start Pepe as well? Our biggest signing. I still don't understand it. And Pepe, I think he just needs game time. That's all he needs because he is a dangerous player. We know this 1v1, he's dangerous, and we need that in Arsenal. We need that both. Saka does it, but there's no one else on the right doing it. And I think we've had that coming on the left and the right, a bombing in the middle. I think we'll get our success. So I can't understand it really. I can understand David Luiz, the others I don't understand. Ceballos, obviously, Elneny, Ceballos, not much of a difference, but I can't understand it really.
Wonga, I have to mention this last thing is Lacazette. The game is 1-0. I think 1-0 at the time.
Your favorite player?
My favorite player. The time on the clock is 40 minutes. The lad gets a golden chance, and he doesn't take it again.
Even the Arsenal game, I wasn't able to watch it thanks to our lights being off, but I watched the highlights.
Are you paying for electricity, Wonga? Because this isn't the first time this has happened.
No, you can go check. There in Joburg, the lights went out on 2 occasions because of the Semenza extension. The 2,100 kilowatt line. And that's what they kept on saying. They're talking cock, but I don't know what it was. But that's what they said. They're talking, but at the same time, they cut the line. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, what are the chances?
They cut it. You sure they didn't cut the line on Arteta's performance as well? I think that's kind of what's happening here.
Yeah, but my cousin explained to me the chance, and then I saw it. I thought he was exaggerating a bit, and then I saw it. I said, gee whiz, it's actually worse than the way he described it. I mean, he's in front of the goals. Goodness me, like, jump, hit the ball down. It's what you get paid for. I mean, he does it every single day. I expect him to put the ball in the back of the net. Wakes up, they hit the ball every single day, and he couldn't put that one behind. No ways. I was shocked. I can't believe it. I was shocked. He needs to put that. That's why I say rather if he's not playing behind the striker like Firmino does, then take him off. Let's find something else. Put Aubameyang down the middle. We need goals.
Put him down the middle. Bring in Niles. Bring in Ketia. You've got mold the younger players.
Saka,
I think his time is done.
We got Saka. You got Saka. Saka can play left wing, left back, left mid. Put Saka down the left wing. Put who's that guy? Pepe down the right wing. Put Aubameyang in the middle. That's it. There we go. Try that. Like I said, yes, last season I was also complaining. Why are we not starting him? He can get us goals. Okay, he's not getting us goals. Okay, take him off. Let's put a Aubameyang now. Try something else, guys. We can't try the same thing and try and hope for a better result. It's 9. Is it 9 games now? 9 games or 8 games in, and we're not scoring goals. That doesn't make sense. No. The season's only 38. It's a we're third through. No.
It's the worst goal scoring record you guys have had since the 98-99 season.
Exactly.
You won the season. You won that season.
What is it? Hectic. Yeah. It's worrying. Well, it's worrying. I can't lie to you, it's worrying. I'm not saying we need to win the league this season, but gee whiz, let's put up a fight. Oaks. We're sitting. Yes, I don't even know the teams ahead of me. There's so many. I used to say 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's like 10. I have to list them. Goodness me. I can't.
You have to list them. So because you can't list them, let me list them. There's Leicester, 18 points. Spurs, 17 points. Liverpool, 17 points. Southampton, 16 points. Chelsea, 15 points. Villa, 15 points. Everton,
well deserved,
13 points.
Everton,
and then I'm gonna stop there. I'm not even gonna continue. Yeah, that's where you guys are at, gentlemen. I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to finish? This is your moment of truth. Wonga said.
No, so and Man United are also game in hand, and they're behind us. They win, we go down. Unbelievable. Yes, we actually went to Man United. I chewed them.
Wonga, there's only one United. There's only one United. It's Newcastle United. We're coming for you, son.
Seriously though, Nick. Final thoughts before we leave. Where do you think we're going to end up from a Newcastle standpoint? What's going to happen, Steve Bruce? You guys, realistically, Europe aspirations, we know that's not on the cards, but who the hell knows in this season?
It's a lucky packet. I told you, you go to the cafe there and you get that little lucky packet. You don't know what you're going to get. But I'll tell you what. We can beat anyone on our day, but we can also play like absolute arseholes on our day as well. So I think that will happen more so than not. I think a mid-table finish with Bruce is more than likely. I would like us to have a good go in the Cup. Brentford, we play Brentford in December in the quarterfinals. We could find ourselves in the semi-finals, put all our eggs in one basket, and maybe we'll find European football that way.
Look, I think you guys are years, if not centuries, away from European football, unless those Saudis come back or something. I don't know.
Listen, we got a quarterfinal. We got a quarterfinal of the League Cup against Brentford, who's lost their best player, who's lost all their best players. Actually, they lost Ollie Watkins, they lost Ben Rama, and then I'm patriotic. They lost Makocho as well, so they're obviously not as good in the midfield. Okay, so I think we can go and beat them. And we find ourselves in a semi-final. Who knows? Who does
know? I don't know. I know that Newcastle don't do anything. But what I want to know between the two of you guys is which team ends up above the other one.
Come on, man. Don't be silly now. Obviously us.
Well, yeah.
Obviously us. Steve Bruce, Arteta. Who's got the experience? Come on.
Well, Arteta's done one thing right now that I can agree with. Last 2 games, he's put Xhaka away, almost put him in like a Pokemon ball. You must keep him inside there, and not take him out, not take Xhaka out ever. I think he's done well for me there, and I think. Steve Bruce, my man, yeah.
There's only one Steve Bruce. There's only one Steve Bruce. Sorry, Wonga, finish off.
No, I'm saying I'm happy with that. I think we'll play. We do it a couple of times, playing without Xhaka, but now we've got I forget. What's his name is injured now. Partey. Oh well. I'll probably see more Xhaka. So it stops there.
So in other words, we're gonna finish higher than you. We're gonna finish.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Your star signing's injured. Oh well. What are you gonna do? I love Wonga. Thank you, guys. That's our show for today. The cool down. I want to say thank you for everyone who tuned in. We actually had quite a few people today, and we really appreciate that. Nick, your hair's on fleek as always. Wonga, You sound like a pilot, but you're the pilot leading the Gunners right now, and they need that. They need to check the turbulence because there's a lot of it coming their way. So thanks again, everybody. And we're out. Guys, you want to say cheers? You're more than welcome to.
Cheers, guys. Tune on me for
cheers,
life,
guys.
Finish it higher than Arsenal. Peace.
No ways.